I don't know whether you can tell, but it's been a very early start this morning, but it's another day of firsts. Today will be the first time I've ever driven a Lotus. I am about 5 minutes away from Hethel, which is where the Lotus HQ is, and it's where their test track is. So today I'm driving a Lotus Exige, my first ever Lotus, good one to start with, on the test track, and then they are allowing me to go into the Classic Team Lotus workshops, which should be unbelievable. I am a huge Jim Clark fan. He's a big hero of mine. So hopefully we see some of his cars today. Probably some Graham Hill stuff, some Fittipaldi stuff. I imagine it's all in there. So yeah, today is going to be a good one. So we're all parked up, and it turns out I've got Hethel test track all to myself this morning for an hour. So in the Exige, helmet on, and make the most of my hour. Okay, I've done my boring sighting laps, and now it's time to get the helmet on and give it a crack myself. Now, the plan here is to have some fun and experience Hethel. This is where Jim Clark tested the Lotus 25. It has all that history to it. But I do need the car for the rest of the week to take up to Scotland. So have fun, but not too much fun. That's the plan. Back for entrance to the clubhouse, please. I've got radio as well. Things get a little bit tetchy, so you just need to be careful, like this hairpin here. It helps if I can get my blip sorted so I can rev match, but that's all just my lack of talent. Listen to that engine though! Finally! And some people don't like V6s. All they need to do to change that opinion is have a go in this. I personally love a V6. Time to second, get it in. Too quick that time. The track is just starting to dry out now, which is a shame because my session's coming to an end. It's actually quite a tetchy way to drive it because some bits are wet and you know, don't go too hard at it. Then some bits are dry, so you start to give it more. So your brain has to alternate between the two with what's in front of your eyes. For example, this soaking wet, almost mossy hairpin, and then it's dry as you come out. What a track!
whoever designed this knew what was needed to test a vehicle dynamically, and it really shows just how fantastic this car is. Okay, that'll do. There's sweat pouring from my facial hair into my mouth. I'm sticking to the seat. It's definitely a workout, but my god, what a rewarding car to drive. I cannot wait to get this into the Highlands. So that was the Lotus Exige Cup 430. That was Hethel, Lotus's test track, and now we're just going to hop over the road to Classic Team Lotus to check out probably the most amazing collection of F1 cars in one room. I really like my job.
So the mini track day is over, and now we are in classic racing car heaven. The cars behind me, I would not even be able to guess how much they're all worth. The history and the Grand Prix wins that is in this room, absolutely phenomenal. Drivers like Ayrton Senna, Fittipaldi, of course Jim Clark, Graham Hill, the list goes on. It doesn't get much better for this for a Lotus, and to be honest, for any F1 fan. So let's take a look around, see what fantastic machinery is in this place, all in different states of restoration or just being, you know, stored for owners to then go and race when things open up. Yeah, let's take a look around and see what's in this amazing workshop. Straight off the bat, the first car you come to is this 1985 Lotus Type 97T. So this is the Renault twin turbo engined Lotus. That was Senna's first race win. Take a look in there. And those iconic dials that are sort of swiveled round. Any of you that have driven this car in a Assetto Corsa knows how quickly these turbos spin up. What a thing. And looking at the steering wheel, I don't want to presume, but I reckon that steering wheel is original, considering the amount of wear and tear on it. Some pretty special hands have driven this car around the track. And that livery, John Player Special, and this is one of, well, I need to do a count, I would guess 8 John Player Special cars currently in this room. And one little thing I've noticed, I've never really noticed it on this car before, there's these barge boards just behind the front suspension. They're actually connected through to the front wing. It's just a minor detail, but such a cool little aerodynamic trinket there that I've never noticed on this car before. But I think we've all seen footage of Senna ripping through the gears in one of these. Pretty special, and maybe one of the best F1 cars of all time, one of the most iconic. But I mean, those words could be applied to pretty much anything else in this room, so let's dig a bit deeper. The Ford DFE engine is synonymous with Lotus and all their victories. Year upon year of F1 victories and races using this iconic engine. And this car here, the Type 91, was the final Lotus to have a DFE in it before they switched to the Renault turbo engines. No front wing because it's ground effect. If I come right in here, you can see just there, right there, running right along, that is a fixed skirt, which means this car is just suctioned to the track, so much so that they've got a tiny little rear wing and no front wing on it. Yep, pretty amazing. So as I was saying, John Player Special over there, John Player Special bodywork would be on this, another one here, another one here, another one over there, and it just keeps going. Absolutely insane. And how cool are these mopeds? This is a funny chunky looking thing. This is a Type 86. It never raced, but this was the concept for the twin chassis car, which we'll get to probably the best example right at the other end of the room. All to do with getting around all the ground effects rules when ground effect essentially got banned. But before we get to that, the 1978 F1 World Championship winning Type 79. Mario Andretti, Ronnie Peterson. If you guys have been to Goodwood, you've almost certainly seen this car kicking up the hill. It does seem very nicely original. It's not in pristine condition, but that's what I would want from a racing car. Look at these dials here. They've been used and abused just like they should in an F1 car, to be honest. V8 engine. And then you guys might be screaming at me in the comments to look at these other cars, but I mean, I barely know where to start and where to finish, to be honest. I'm gonna have to be yanked out of this room. How cool is this 1988 camel liveried car? 100T Nelson Piquet. Honda powered, just what a thing. Another John Player special with all the bodywork kind of stripped off, the main bodywork, showing the carbon fibre tub on this thing. So this car, I think, did this have a DFE or was this... No, I think this was one of the Renault turbo engines. But you can see how the engine just bolts in place there. It's got a little sort of indentation to fit into place. Gearbox attached on the back with the rear suspension and aero. 4-tier rear wing, wow. And then everything forward is carbon fibre. So this car and this chassis didn't change too much from the DFV cars over there to, I think this was a Renault turbo engine, and of course the Senna car right over there in the corner that very much had that engine. It's not often you get to see a naked car of this caliber like this, and yet these guys kicking around here get to experience it every single day. What a job these guys have. Everything we've seen so far has been absolutely mind-blowing, but cars over my shoulder is where it's at for me, specifically one driver. And if you've seen my sort of very early Drive Tribe content on the YouTube channel, you'll know exactly who I mean. So let's go check out a couple of cars over there that mean the most to me. Both these cars here are Jim Clark racing cars, but I think we have to focus on this. This is chassis R4 Lotus Type 25 that Jim won the 1963 F1 World Championship in. His first championship, the second one coming in 1965. It's got the tiny little Coventry Climax V8 engine in the back, and look at this cockpit. Tiny steering wheel, tiny gear stick, and then I'm not going to touch the sort of leather seat, but you'd be able to see the small wooden pedals at the end of this chassis. First, I guess, true monocoque chassis in Formula 1. Engine at the back when a lot of F1 teams were still kicking about with an engine in the front. Look at these pea shooter exhausts coming out the back. In terms of iconic F1 cars, I think this one takes it potentially of all time. People would argue that the 49 would take that prize, but for me, the 49, there's one just over there, we'll get to that in a bit. The 49 is quite a brutal car. It's got a big V8 in it, big wide tyres on it. It is a real evolution of grip and power, while this still has that delicacy that the sort of early 1960s F1 cars had. So manual, so intricate, and just, yeah, so simple. When you ask people to think of a cigar-shaped F1 car, this is what people think of. It had the lap record around Goodwood back in the day, and technically still has the lap record of the original circuit. Look at these little dials in here. This is pretty special. Doesn't quite have his name on it, like this 33 does. But it doesn't get any better than this for me, to be honest. As special as it gets. And if the 25 wasn't revolutionary enough, they then moved on to the 49. Now this is a slight evolution. This is the 49B. So the original 49 was in the same colours, the green as the 25 over there. And it didn't have any aero on it, which again just a cigar shaped F1 car. But the B, which this one is, had this front wing here, and then it doesn't have it on it right now, but you can see the brackets here either side for the rear wing, which is incredibly tall on these cars. And of course it was the introduction of the Ford DFV engine, which featured in F1 cars for I think roughly 20 years after this. So this is a Graham Hill car. He kind of had to get the team back up and running after Jim Clark sadly lost his life. And the 49 was the perfect car for it. It just ran away with the F1 World Championships in 1968. This is what's this saying here? 67, 70, but when's this one? Okay, so this is the World Championship winning car from 68. So Graham Hill taking his, I want to say, second title? Second or third. And I've been told that this car, this very chassis, has won the Monaco Grand Prix twice on the trot. I would guess that it's the only F1 chassis that has ever done that, but you F1 aficionados in the comments tell me that I'm wrong, but that's a pretty rare accolade to have. Now, I was talking about the prototype twin chassis car over there. This was the real thing, the Type 80H from 1981. And then Rob here is just going to demonstrate exactly what that means. So you can see the car basically has two sets of suspension, which means as the air flows over the car, the bodywork clamps down and you essentially get aerodynamic side skirts. Once more, Rob. Yeah, so the air moves over and pushes the bodywork of the car down. Absolutely remarkable. This was an amazing day at Hethel, but next time you see me in this car, I'll be in the Highlands of Scotland.